Hello, my name's Michael Conneely, and the purpose of this video is to tell you about what you get in an astrology reading from me. I am proud of what my astrology readings offer because I successfully combine both Western astrology and Vedic astrology in all my readings. Vedic astrology, using the sidereal zodiac, is orientated to our destiny, our incarnational life purpose, and all the circumstances that fall into place around that. Western astrology, when it uses the tropical zodiac, is a statement of our psychological self, and we need to know the fullness of our psychological self and develop enlightened awareness. That's one of the reasons we're here, to grow in that way. So I'm going to just tell you the typical format of one of my readings, and I've sort of printed off someone's report. And you can order the readings on my starwheelastrology.com website. And the readings are all around the world, recorded and face-to-face, recordings sent to you using Zoom. So first of all, we look at your Western astrology birth chart, and I use the program AstroCalc for that. So we identify where your ascendant is, how the psychological you will naturally project into the world. We'd particularly look at the position of the nodes of the moon, because that explains what you'll be working away at a psychological level to make the growth this lifetime. So for example, I have Ketu in Scorpio, so I came into a sort of tortured setting from no doubt similar past life, but I'm supposed to grow across the chart psychologically into the solid value areas of Taurus, to give you an idea. And of course, we need to note the position of Pluto. Pluto, the atomic power of death and rebirth, where when it activates we have to face all our pain and hurt and darkness. It's rather like going into the abyss. But then the idea is to develop awareness and healing from that descent into the underworld, so that our Pluto in fact becomes like Kether in the Tree of Life, connected to the divine light, fully radiating that light and funneling it into our consciousness and our life. And of course Chiron is so crucial, our existential wound. We do need to know, to exactly define that and notice how we might heal it and when healing opportunities are particularly coming along. Okay, the next Western chart I would look at in a reading is actually Megastar. Now, Megastar is a wonderful program depicting psychodynamic Western astrology, and I absolutely love it. And so, for example, it shows up chart aspect shapes. It draws the chart very strictly according to how wide an orb can be allowed for an aspect to be called an aspect. And then and so obviously they show up as chart aspect shapes, and each chart aspect shape has a meaning. So for example, there might be a righteousness rectangle, and if you do the work on that, it turns into a mystic rectangle. Another crucial, wonderful thing is it depicts and makes clear unaspected sub-personalities. If a planet or couple of planets aren't connected to the rest of your chart by aspect lines, or they're just connected by very weak or part-time aspect lines, it's an unaspected sub-personality. And you might not even know it's there most of the time until it's activated by transit or progression. And you think, well, why am I impelled to do this? I can't make sense. There's something driving my life and I can't think what. And then the other time is when it is activated, it can almost take over and not be integrated into the rest of your life. So I have a Venus-Neptune sub-personality, and when that has activated in my life, I've written visionary novels, I've had periods of clairaudience and clairvision. But here is like the wonder of the system. I have a square of Mars square Saturn, and that's cutting off my beautiful Venus-Neptune sub-personality. So I work, and keep forgetting that the work is cutting off the beauty and the inspiration. Simple examples. So you see what you're already getting if you have a reading with me. Now the next thing I'd pick out in the Megastar program, which I use, is nature versus nurture. You see, we come in with a certain inherited nature, but our upbringing, especially our very earliest upbringing, alters it a lot. It can actually create a false you. And so the Megastar program has a house chart which depicts the you that's the product of your nurture, as opposed to the radix or natal chart, which is you, the inherited nature. And that's fascinating, to see the differences that your nurture creates for you in your life. So for example, in my chart, in my natal chart, Pluto is an unaspected sub-personality. I'd find it difficult to grasp the power and transformation of Pluto. But my house chart puts Pluto in an angry T-square, square the nodal axis, and of course, in my case, on the nodal axis, my Sun is conjunct South Node Ketu, my Moon is conjunct North Node Rahu, and that opposition is T-square Pluto. So I chose a life, a fated life, where I would have to go through, dark learning and healing periods, going into the abyss, going into the underworld, the descent into the underworld, to contact the light. So I'm just turning the pages on. Oh yes, another wonderful feature of Megastar is that it connects your charts to the 7 rays system that came down to us from Alexandria in Egypt, particularly preserved by the medieval Jews. And so in the 7 rays system, the light of the divine coming to the humans on the earthly plane splits into 7 different rays. And the Megastar program will offer a statement of which rays you were particularly born to work with in this life. So for example, if you were born to work with will and power, that might mean you're just far too, I want this, I want that, or you're far too reticent and unable to ask for what your will should be creating. It's a very useful statement, for example, to say that the ray will and power is the one activated in this life. And another thing from the Swiss Huber School is a wonderful predictive age point system, which, believe me, works. There are 2 age points which go around the chart from different start points, taking 72 years to go around your chart. And one is called I call the individuation age point, which is a particular focus in our life and awareness on our psychological self. And it's very good to have that guidance. And so in my case now, for example, I'm at the end of my 12th house, coming up to the age point, crossing my ascendant. So in some ways this will be a retreative phase of life, preparing for new expression. And the age point is, for example, aspecting Saturn and Rahu. He will work too hard. But of course there's also the nodal age point, which takes 72 years to go around our chart, starting off from the north node of the moon. And this states the whisper of your soul to you from the astral. And for another 2 years, mine is aspecting my Venus-Neptune sub-personality. I actually had Neptune transiting opposite Venus until very recently, a long transit. And the echoes of that my soul will whisper to me to develop for another 2 to 3 years, according to the nodal age point. And in fact, I'm writing another visionary novel, and developing a lot of like deity contact. So I'm just showing you the wonders of Western tropical zodiac astrology when properly done. And indeed, I'm not dismissing Western sidereal astrology at all. I have a colleague in Arizona who does wonders with that. And just to end the Western astrology, we look at the secondary progression, the day for a year progressed moon, and the progressed aspects, and that is a very reliable statement of your sort of life emphasis and focus. Particularly when your progressed ascendant crosses a planet, for example. And then, of course, we look at the transits, and I offer you the transits both in table form and in graph form. It is essential to know what your transits are. So I'm just looking at mine, what sort of came out of, well, it was 2017. Uranus opposite Sun. You do need to know that's coming. You do need to sort of develop awareness of what it will be at its best, how to strategize your life so it can be incorporated and expressed. Small example, well, big example there. So carrying on through my approach, the next thing we come to in the reading is the Vedic astrology. Right, well, mainly I use Sri Jyoti Star, which is a wonderful program. And so, of course, you get your Vedic natal chart using the sidereal zodiac. It must use the sidereal zodiac. Otherwise, so many things will not be stated or will be stated wrongly. And as I said, the orientation of the Vedic chart is towards your incarnational destiny. It's not towards your egoic psychology. That's just part of your incarnational destiny, and it is stated by the Western astrology. So we go through your Vedic birth charts, and there's so many sort of interpretive techniques that offer wonders, like what's the dignity of a planet, what's the strength of a planet, what's the position of the nodes of the moon, the statement of your incarnational destiny, what does it mean to have a planet in the 12th house or the 6th house, what your career indicators are, what your love indicators are. And then we bring in the nakshatras. Now the thing is, on YouTube, I have a video presentation of each nakshatra and a blog about them as well. So if you hear that you've got Sun in Chitra, very nice sign, I have my Sun there, you can then go and look at the video for Sun in Chitra and hear quite a lot more about it. Or I've done a video for every single one of the 27 nakshatras. And also I've done videos about each of the planets. You see that a planet has a divine, pure nature, which we need to understand and be able to contact. But normally in our lives we view the planets through filters of house, sign and aspects. So in my reading you hear what that filtering does to the pure nature of the planet. We look at the Navamsha chart. Now, Vedic astrology has a wonderful system of harmonic charts or Varga charts. And each Varga chart states something absolutely perfect and wonderful. Magnificent statement about a particular area of our life. The Navamsha is the most important because it states what is your ideal ashram, your ideal way of life. And of course it particularly encompasses relationships issues as well, because they are of course so major in our establishment of our ideal destined way of life. There are wonderful charts showing like planetary dignity, how well a planet manifests because of its relationship with the Lord of the sign it's in, and magnificent charts rating the strength of a planet across all those Varga charts or divisional charts. So you might have a Sun that's absolutely fine in the birth chart, but really weak in one of the Varga charts. So when the Sun is activated by a transit or by predictive period, you can tell you have to specially watch that area of life. The one where the sun is very weak in a Vedic chart or in a problematic aspect. And talking of aspects, well, I'm going to have to overrun to a second part here, but a wonderful thing is the movable indicators, how a planet is an indicator for different aspects of your destiny. And the most important is, which is your Atmakarika planet? And your Atmakarika planet is the planet you're specially here to work with. You absolutely need to know that. And during predictive periods of the Atmakarika planet, your life will just be turned head over heels upside down, and you'll be dropped through a trapdoor if it's not on course for realizing the soul growth that you're supposed to realize in relation to your Atmakarika planet. I'm just wondering which to... Oh yes, another very good system is, how do your planets treat each other? So basically I use Avastas to say, well, what's the strength of your Mercury? But how does your Sun treat Mercury? So Mercury is expression and writing and so forth. Now, if you had a very disciplinarian father or whatever, the Sun, that might diminish your Mercury's actual score, even into a negative score, because you might just not be able to value and free up your voice. One small meaning there. So that gives you a tiny idea of the Vedic natal astrology you get when you have a reading from me. We're now going to move on to Vedic predictive astrology. Well, the thing is, Vedic astrology has a unique gift to the world, one of its several unique facets, which is the predictive periods, the dashas. And each predictive period is ruled by a planet, and each predictive period has a sub-period within it, working through a sequence from the moment of your birth all through your life. And it can be so necessary to understand, well, why has my life suddenly changed? And what am I supposed to do about it? How am I supposed to understand it? And then you can look and, oh goodness, well, you've changed from Mercury to Ketu Dasha, where Ketu activates your scripts from past lives that need to be expressed and finished off and understood in this life and learned further. Just one example. And so we look at those Dasha levels to 1 level, and then to 2 levels, and then to 3 levels. So 3 levels is the Dasha, the sub-period, and the sub-sub-period. And of course, there's a couple of things left. Clearly, transits. Well, at the time of recording this 2-part video, the nodes have just changed sign. The nodes of the moon, the indicators of your incarnational destiny, change sign every 18 months. And Rahu, the north node, has just gone into Vedic Gemini. And Ketu, the south node, always opposite, has just gone into Vedic Sagittarius. Your life will change enormously. So, for example, if Rahu's in Gemini, your communication abilities could become a lot more driven with huge plus or minus potentials. But the sign that Rahu and Ketu are transiting through will have changed as well. So in my case, Rahu has entered my 12th house. And I've already noticed like a huge increase in sort of intuitive and vision work I'm doing as one of the manifestations of Rahu in my 12th house. And, it's so useful to know what the energy demand in your life will be from the house the nodes of the moon are transiting through. And lastly, I'd mention as a predictive indicator the Varshfal chart. Well, the Varshfal chart is the solar return chart, the chart for the exact moment the sun returns to the exact position it was when you were born, normally on your birthday or very, very, very close. And basically that tells you a lot about what will happen in your year ahead. So I've indicated the And I am proud of the range of techniques I offer in my readings. But what I want to say is, I don't just limit it to, Gemini statement, almost like a rant of this, that and the other. What we then need to go on and do is look at what healing can be done. I work with my wife Maggie Pashley, who practices innumerable wonderful healing modalities. I also, of course, teach vision work and shamanic journeying, and so we don't just sort of rant a formula. We develop from the reading a statement of how you can strategize, how you can heal, how you can develop the insight. So, to order a reading, go to my starwheelastrology.com website, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.